Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Hanshaw. Welcome to the Word of Truth broadcast. A new victim has spoken out in the Robert Morris sex scandal down there in Gateway Church. I got this video for you to watch. Watch this.
Continuing to keep you updated on the Pastor Robert Morris and Gateway Church situation. New information now coming out in light of all of the allegations from Cindy Clemenshire. We said that there were probably going to be more victims that came forward. Cindy said that herself in her story that she gave to the Wartburg Watch back in June. Turns out, in fact, that another victim did come forward. But actually, this was several years ago. We are now learning about a lawsuit that Gateway Church had apparently settled just 2 months. 2 months to the date when Robert Morris resigned as senior pastor. This lawsuit was settled back on April 18th. 2024. This involves a lot of people. I got the information for you. We are going to go over it. You are not going to want to miss this. This exposure is continuing. And now that we know everything involving Morris, what I'm about to tell you with this lawsuit here, for anybody that was still defending Morris, for anybody that was still defending Gateway, because I saw it all the time in the comments section. Anytime I do an update on Morris and Gateway, all the defenders, they rush in. Oh, I love this man. I love this church. I love all these people. You may change your mind finally after we get into this. Let's get into this because, wow, God is really, and I mean really lifting the veil now at Gateway. The corruption, that's what we talk about here. We expose church corruption and the wolves that occupy its pulpits. You know what? I know there's a lot of people that don't like that, right? I see it all the time. They pop up in the comment section like, why can't you talk about something good? Why can't you talk about something positive? I think God exposing darkness and me shining the light on that and bringing that to everybody's attention, I think that is a good thing. If you want, if you want a cotton candy fluff message, there are other channels out there that'll do that for you, okay? We are exposing darkness. God is cleaning up his house. There's nothing, that's a good thing. Okay? And another thing too, I pray for all of these victims. Those that say, oh, how dare you talk about, I pray for these victims all the time. Okay? This is very important to me. I've been covering this for years as a part of what I do. I always pray that God would provide healing to all of those who have been hurt in these churches by these people who pose as pastors. I pray for justice to come, for more of these wolves to be exposed so the church can get cleaned out. I'm sorry, but I don't think that's a bad thing. And I always also say this, that if for anybody that's out there, if you are somebody who is a survivor of mistreatment of any kind, you are welcome here on this platform. Ignore people who are saying, silly things. Okay? They don't want to understand it. They can't. They don't have to be here. Okay? No one's making you watch. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to. That's the great thing about YT. There are so many different places you can go, so many channels you can watch. But for those that do appreciate what I do, thank you so much for being here. All right, let's get into this. A new report has been released about a lawsuit that Gateway settled just 2 months upon Robert Morris resigning. 2 months before he resigned on April 18th. Remember, Robert Morris resigned on June 18th, okay? That was after Cindy Clemenshire gave her story to the Wartburg Watch. That was around June 14th. But on April 18th, a settlement had been reached in a lawsuit between 2 former members of Gateway Church that used to be pretty active, participating in not just services, but other ministries. And this victim's name is just going by here the name of AD in this lawsuit, along with her mother, who was also a part of it. Now you have to understand, when this mistreatment of AD happened, okay, we're talking about her being, a little one, okay? She was a member of the youth group, according to the report. So, by all accounts, probably not too far off from the age that Cindy Clemenshire was when everything was going on with her and Robert Morris. Now, in the lawsuit, this was something to me, there were 5 pastors from Gateway, 5, listed in this suit along with 1 youth leader and Gateway Church as well. And alleging here cover up from Gateway Church, cover up from these pastors and from the youth leader as far as the mistreatment that happened here to AD. Now, the lawsuit was filed back in August of 2020 by AD and her mother. But let's go back to when this actually first occurred. When did the mistreatment happen to AD? It occurred back on March 14th, 2018. And it happened at an apparent youth event, a church event that was going on. Now, Logan Edwards, Denise Edwards, Kelly Jones are just a couple of the Gateway leaders and pastors that are listed here in this suit. Now, I'm going to be posting the full article over on my Patreon at patreon.com/notbysitenews. Again, that link is in the description. So you can find this information over there. Now, you can join the Patreon for free. When you do, you'll get access. You can get access to my links there without a problem. You don't have to, pay for that, nothing. But if you do want to get my early access to all of my videos, then you can become a paid member for as little as $5 a month. But the full, all the Gateway pastors' names will be listed in that article that I will be providing for you. But again, just a couple of them here. Logan Edwards, who was the youth pastor, Denise Edwards, and Kelly Jones. Just a couple of them here that are named in this suit.
Hello, friends. I hope you're enjoying today's program. If it's a blessing to you, I would encourage you to like the video, to comment on it, and most importantly, to subscribe to my YouTube channel, share these videos. We want to get the message of the true truth, of the true gospel out there. And the more you like my videos and comment on them and subscribe, then that helps the algorithm. Again, I pray that today's show has been a blessing to you, and we're going to get right back into it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Let's get back into today's program. Hello, friends. We're offering a special book, Christian Doctrines from an Arminian perspective. I know a lot of you request me of the question, where can I get a good book on doctrines? Well, I've finished this one, and I cover every doctrine, every major doctrine in Christianity. The doctrine of God, the doctrine of Jesus Christ, the doctrine of the Holy Spirit, the doctrine of the Scriptures, the doctrine of man, the doctrine of salvation, the doctrine of man's free will, the doctrine of perseverance, the doctrine of heaven, the doctrine of hell, the doctrine of sanctification, the doctrine of demons, the doctrine of Satan, the doctrine of evangelism and global missions, the millennial reign. And I have one chapter that I've dedicated to all the false doctrines in the world today, the major ones. So be sure to avail yourself of this special offer. And I'm not charging anything for this. I am accepting any size donation or love offering. And if you can't afford it, then I will get this ebook. It's an ebook. It's not a paperback book. It's an ebook that I will email to you. It's about nearly 300 pages long. And so it's a book on all the fundamental doctrines of Christianity. Make sure and order your copy of this today. Now let's get back into the program.
Now again, this happened back on March 14th, 2018, okay, during a youth event. They were at one of the homes, I guess, of one of these youth events. Now, the mistreatment here happened to AD during this event. Now, Logan Edwards, the youth leader, became aware of this after, other youth members had, spoken to him about what had taken place to AD. And he also spoke with the actual perpetrator who actually did this to AD. Okay, again, we're talking about, inappropriate behavior, if you know what I mean, that happened here. Now, Logan, upon finding out about this, he told all of the other Gateway pastors that are listed here in this lawsuit. And very quickly after that, they did what they could do. They made basically a pact to keep this quiet. And also, in the suit, it says that they failed to report this. Not only did they fail to report it to the police, but they also failed to report it to AD's own mother. They didn't even tell her about what happened. They wanted to keep this all under wraps because, well, they didn't want this getting out. If it did, that would hurt Gateway's reputation, right? Funny how things have a way of, just coming out anyway. That's what the Lord does. As we found out with Cindy Clemishire giving her story, and then that coming out in the Wartburg Watch, and then, Gateway and Robert Morris, backpedaling, and then it led to Morris's ultimate resignation. So they did not report it to police. They did not tell AD's mother about it. Finally, AD had spoken to her mother about what happened, and her mother filed a police report. Good on her mom for doing that. Police then started to investigate, and Gateway pastors continued their campaign to discredit AD and her mother by saying that they didn't know about it, they don't know what they were talking about. Unreal, right? They were asking, that being for AD and her mother, they were asking for $200,000 in damages here in this lawsuit. Now, upon settlement, this is interesting, Gateway said that they did not settle because they were admitting fault. They basically said, we're not liable for any of this. And the only reason that they settled was to just keep the peace. And so that this wouldn't, get out there. Well, it's out here anyway now. So still admitting absolutely zero faults in this matter, cover up, right, for discrediting AD and her mother. It says in the suit that by them discrediting them, this has caused them, immense trauma, having to deal with this. Again, as people who were faithful members of Gateway Church, who served in multiple capacities, mistreatment happens to AD in the youth group, and they keep it quiet, and they don't even report it. That's a crime. They are required. If you are clergy, you are required to report this to the authorities. But they failed to do it. Again, we're talking about 6 individuals from Gateway in leadership, pastors, trying to keep this quiet. Now, who do you think? Who do you think told them to keep that hush? My opinion would be Robert Morris, because he himself was involved in something very similar with Cindy Clemishire, right? Very similar. Don't want this to get out there, right? And remember, but at that point in April, again, this was April 18th, 2024. The actual story about, Cindy's age hadn't been out there. Remember, Robert Morris had still been telling the story that it was a young lady, that that it was a moral failure. They love those words, moral failure. No, they don't want to call it for what it actually is, which is a crime. So this, I hope, and again, I know there will still be those that are going to defend Morris and Gateway, but look, God's judgment is a good thing. It is supposed to open up people's eyes, right? But let's be honest, not everybody will. I'll admit something to all of you right now. And I'm not saying that this is what I want. Ultimately, I would love to get my physical sight back, but I will tell you this right now. If I did not lose, because you have to understand, I came from a background where, and I've shared this before, but we always get new people in here. I came from a background growing up in the charismatic Word of Faith movement churches where, I worshiped the pastors too. I thought that they could do no wrong. And I've shared how I've been duped by pastors that I really looked at as almost an idol in a way. And, had I not have lost my physical sight and, really started to, to dig in here and to research the church and everything else like that, I probably wouldn't have this wisdom and Holy Spirit wouldn't have given me the discernment that I have now when it comes to this topic. I used to cover a multitude of different topics before in the past, but I really made a shift here to exposing church corruption, and again in the wolves, and because it's something that I went through, and I believe that it is so important. I was duped for so long in my own life, and well, I'm very thankful to the Lord that I now have the spiritual sight to see this. I may have had physical sight before, but I didn't have spiritual sight. I was very blinded in my own life by things that were going on in my own churches that I was failing to realize, and maybe I didn't want to admit. So I say this to you as somebody who has been there. I understand what it is like to be blinded by a pastor, by feeling that you need to be loyal to them, and not just them, but the church as a whole, almost, because it's like your church is this is our church. We have to defend it. But I didn't realize that there were so many wolves around me that told me what I wanted to hear, right? They found out, what are you interested in? And, they would try to get close to you that way. So we have yet another victim now in Gateway Church, that being AD. Pray for AD, okay? I said this. I pray for these victims all the time. Pray for AD. Pray for AD's mom. And for anybody else out there, because again, who knows how many more are out there now, right? We hear about this lawsuit being settled. Did Gateway announce it? No. Like I said in the report, they wanted to keep it quiet. They only settled because they wanted to just keep peace, and they admitted that they're not being held liable for anything. I'd love to know why arrests weren't made in this. I don't know. Maybe that were the terms. I don't know. Maybe AD and the mom didn't want them to be arrested. I don't know. This is a culture at Gateway. I hope people realize this, what is going on.
That will conclude today's program. And as we all suspected, there was another victim 2 months prior to the resignation and the event with Miss Clemishire speaking forth. And I believe, sadly, there may be more victims yet to come. Avoid Robert Morris at all cost. He is not a true preacher of the gospel whatsoever. Thank you for being with me on today's program.